Welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into one of the hottest debates in the Nigerian real estate sector. Is the Abuja real estate market overpriced? If you find yourself buying a property or renting a property recently, you ask yourself this question: why is everything expensive? People are literally paying millions to rent or buy a property and still have issues with unstable power supplies, bad road, and poor infrastructures. From your perspective, Mr. Dan, do you think Abuja real estate market is overpriced?
Real estate market in Abuja is overpriced. Why am I saying that? If you compare other cities, although people will say yes, building materials are expensive, there's inflation. Of course, there's increase in building material prices, there's inflation. But then what are we getting in return for how much we've been paying for houses we either we're renting or you're selling? Comparing places like Cape Town, comparing places like Kigali, what you get in Cape Town, for instance, $400,000 compared to the same property in Abuja here in the city. Even in suburbs, you don't get, like you said, you buy a property worth 600 million and you buy this property where the road is not even tied. There's no good waste management. There's no good infrastructure. If I don't even want to go into sub-Saharan African countries like Morocco, Marrakesh, and make it Algeria and Egypt. Europe is even far-fetched. So I think we are paying so much for this. That's what I can say.
The real estate market is really overpriced, to be honest. And it being overpriced is due to some underlying factors. First of all, inflation, right? The inflations are by design and by demand and also by perception. I said by design because the people that are building houses, like developers that are building houses right now, they are not targeting the low income earners. They're targeting people in the rural, people that are high income earners. So what they are building, they call it luxury apartment, luxury duplex, and then people are paying outrageous amounts of money for it, which is not built for the masses. Now the masses are the ones that are earning low income. They can work for the next 35 years. They cannot still be able to afford a house of 100 million. The civil servant earning 200,000 in a year is about 2.4 million or so. Yeah. And then in 35 year service with whatever bonus or anything, you probably be earning 80 million in total or 90 million, and still that does not still account for money that you purchase a property for 100 million. So if they are building, they are not targeting the masses. So the people that are now needing the properties that are being built right now are the low income earners. Those are the high income earners already have where they are living. The high income earners are purchasing this thing to resell to the low income earners, which is making things overpriced. That is just part of the perception and by design that I mean. Then by demand, for people that are let's say migrating to an upcoming area, let's say for Abuja now, like Idu, a lot of people are already, investors are already moving towards that area. They're buying land, they're building properties. It's just a matter of time. The masses will start migrating towards that place. So the investors are already there waiting. And then once demand starts, the price goes up. Right now, you probably buy houses cheaper in some locations and that are not currently in demand right now. Yeah. By the time there are other places are filled and people want to move to the next phase, you see the prices will automatically change. That's what I mean by the prices are inflated by design, by demand, and by perception.
When we talk about luxury apartments, there are very few. Don't get me wrong. There are few luxury apartments in the city. In fact, there's more demand for luxury properties, but they are not available. The few ones that are available, too much money chasing it, and thereby the property becomes very expensive. Yeah. So the luxury apartment we have are too expensive, and you are getting little or nothing.
So you're letting us know that it's both demand driven,
yes,
and prices are way high.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure most of the people listening to the podcast right now are wondering what are some solutions that we can do concerning this price increment pandemic.
Before I dive into the solution, we are always talking about inflation, cost of building materials. Yes, it's also part of the factors that increase the price of properties. I think for the solution part, I feel the government should decentralize development. if development is not concentrated in the city center,
Yeah.
let's have infrastructures in places like Gwarimpa, Kobwa, Karo, and the likes, because we have more dense. Those are high densely populated environments where we have majority of Abuja people who live in Abuja. About 90% of Abuja residents live in these suburbs and satellite towns. So if these places can have infrastructures and have amenities like world-class hospitals, not necessarily probably world-class hospitals, but good hospitals, good modern schools, and all that. We have metros, train running in these areas. I think it will depopulate the central area where everybody is flocking to get good properties, because in economics, if there's shortage in quality supply of properties, right? There's a lot of money chasing the available ones. I think it will encourage developers to be able to develop these areas, build in and construct houses, mass housing in these areas. And people don't have to be looking to live in Wusetu, looking to live in Jabi and the likes. People will feel comfortable living in places like Idu, Karo, Kubwa, Gwarimpa, because their roads, their infrastructures, their amenities, they don't need to go to town to have a good life. They don't need to go to town for a nightlife, for instance. So this will really crash the price of rent and sale of properties as well.
Yeah, in addition to what Mr. Dan said, the decentralization will really work if if all the offices and all the job opportunities are not located in one location. If they are spread across the city and people can go here and go here, in fact, there will be much more improvement on maybe the prices. Another option is the mortgage, all right, affordable mortgage plans for the masses. So if government is building enough houses that is affordable to let's say government workers like the civil servant, some of them work 35 years and the salary is not even able to buy a house. You can't even buy a 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom. Thank God for the previous sales that they did. I think during Obasanjo era, they privatized the properties and sold to civil servants. So if something like that were more frequent, a lot of government workers will have affordable houses that they can live. But I want to be practical with this solution. One of the practical solutions that I think will happen is to preserve the geographical location setting. What I mean by that is the houses that should be in the high density area where that will serve the population should be like the type of houses that they can afford, like the 3 bedroom, 2 bedroom. If this structure is maintained in those locations, like those areas, people will be able to buy affordable houses. You cannot build a 5 bedroom mansion or duplex in a highly density area where a lot of people cannot afford it. There are 5,000 inhabitants in a small community, and one house is already occupying 1,000 square meter plot. All this thing increases demand for houses in that area. So the few ones that are available will become too expensive.
Getting into development control and see what's going on there. Restructure these things.
Yeah.
It will really help the price to crash as well and make things accommodation affordable for the common Nigerian.
Yeah.
This has really been insightful. Thank you for tuning in to today's topic. I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, I'm Barrister Owodefero, and this is House Shop Open Mic Podcast. Thank you.